Right. Thank you so much, Donny, for being here. Everybody, this is Donny Zavala. I am so honored to have him on our little program here. Donny and I met, I think, a year and a half ago, and we were able to do a wardrobe styling for one of his one-on-ones. He has clients all over the world. You know him, so I'm not needing to introduce him to you here. But I'm just going to have him take lead here and just talk about his story. I really know most of you guys have wanted to know how he reached destination clients, international clients, the luxury market, to be one of the lead industry leaders here in the photography world for the luxury market in the wedding industry. And he will be sharing that with us today. So Donny, thank you so much for being here, friend.
Yes. Well, thank you, Carrie. And hi to all of you. And I think it's obviously an honor, and you always get goosebumps when you get asked to help those, as I also teach, and so that's really cool, Carrie. Congratulations on this little program you got going, and to
Thank you,
all of
Donny.
you, you're in good hands. You're in great hands. But
Oh,
so Carrie had asked me sent me a list of some items that I could help answer for you guys, and just a little bit about myself. I am married. You're probably looking at me and going, he looks a lot older than I expected, but I'm almost 44 years old.
yeah.
I've been in the industry for since 2009.
Nice.
So 14-ish years or so. I have a lovely wife of almost 22 years and 3 beautiful kids.
Oh,
And you're wondering how in the world does he get around to where he goes? Well, I could explain in a little bit, but um, so I got into photography just by randomly getting a camera in my hands and just kind of fiddling with it. And maybe like most of you, kind of had a knack for composition and lighting, and kind of self-taught yourself, to just learn the processes. Well, for me, one thing led to another. I started off really small, like shooting senior portraits or friends and family. And then I kind of started getting inspiration. There was some inspiration out there that I thought, okay, well, how are they doing this? What can I do to kind of get there? And so I just took it on myself to really be self motivated and push myself. Um, at that time, when 2010 was around, YouTube wasn't kind of a thing.
wow.
So
So,
really the only thing that was a thing was like hard work, like, and I'm
yeah.
not saying YouTube is not hard work, but I had to go and figure out, hey, who can I shake hands, who's near me that I can just help out. We both can help out each other and advance each other's work. Well, I started doing a small style shoot, literally didn't even know exactly what I was doing. And that style shoot led to the next style shoot. And the small steps that I took were, at the time, didn't seem big,
Right.
but they were.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And what I mean by those little steps, it could have been anything from a quick thank you email to your group of people that were with you, that have
Mhm.
been pushing you. It was a handshake on during your shoot, like, hey, thank you, Carrie, for your help. You're really
Mhm.
awesome. Those little pieces that
Yeah.
we are kind of lost arts as who
Yes.
we are as people, are still
Yeah.
actually a huge part of what I do in business. Don't ever lose that.
Yeah.
Always say thank you. Always
Yeah.
be grateful. Always shake hands. Always be quick to communicate. Don't be slow, because
Yeah.
that's business. And if you're slow, you're going to be left behind. So,
Yeah.
um, so I can't really, like, much of the detail was that, and then literally one thing led to another. So my inspiration, or I was inspired continuously by seeing a lot of other work. And so then the small market item, like on a local level, was like, okay, um, how do I go from this to this to this? And so I started seeing people shooting in bigger markets, like Los Angeles, like New York, like Paris, like Miami.
Yeah.
And we could have a whole different conversation about how I feel about shooting in those locations now. But as opposed to now, then everything seemed like everything's bigger and better and there's more money in those markets. But how in the heck do you get into that?
Right.
So I can give you a quick, and then I want to stay on course for your next question. But it was important for me to make good vendor friends and colleagues across borders here
Yes.
in the States. So the California market was important to me to try to tap into. And so then I kindly reached out to vendors in the Los Angeles area where I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I have this shoot that I just did in Oregon. And sorry, I'm based in Oregon. And I would show them my portfolio and they'd be like, Donnie, that's beautiful. Come down to LA. Let's do a style shoot together. And so then we connected there.
Yeah.
And one shoot led to another shoot in LA. And then I started really like planting myself in the LA market where people are like, hey, this guy that's shooting these style shoots, he's doing an amazing job. And so,
Mhm.
long story short, I fell in love with photography, not just digital, but I also fell into film photography, which is a whole different part of my business. As a matter of fact,
Right.
probably the biggest leverager of my business, even till now. So those of you not shooting film, perfectly fine, but I shoot film predominantly throughout the day at my weddings, near and far. And
Yeah.
so I did invest money in education.
Mhm.
I took a film photography workshop, and but before then, I was already shooting a little bit of film. That was just to fine tune.
Sorry to interrupt you. Was it Jose's?
No, no, no. It was Eric McVeigh's workshop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Eric and I have a cool history because he's local. He's in the same town as me, and
Yeah.
well, I won't go too much into detail how I got to know Eric, but by chance I happened to know him in person, and I ended up basically going to his workshop. And the workshop, after all the work that I put in, really kind of solidified my ability to shoot film.
Mhm.
Um, and I will say this, and I think this leads into question number two. What moment do you remember feeling like you were ready to up level? That was actually it. So
Yeah.
before the workshop and even after going to LA for a little bit, I was a little bit insecure still. Like, do I have enough to like feel like I can create a greater portfolio to get more clients to pay me
Right.
more than I was making? Because at
Right.
the beginning I was making like what, $1,000 a wedding,
Right.
maybe $2,000 a wedding. And I felt like, okay, well, maybe I'm not ready. Well, when I
Right.
took the workshop and I really got some really beautiful images back, um, I felt like I hit some home runs.
Yeah.
And what I call those home runs, they're called affirmations. I like
Yeah.
to think of it as affirmations. So when I teach also, I tell my students, affirmations are huge. They make you feel good about what you're doing. They affirm the things that you're doing correctly because someone is watching. Someone is seeing that your work is actually amazing and great.
Yeah.
And so every time I used an image from this workshop or an image from a style shoot and I posted it to Instagram, social media, the validation, which is, I'm not that kind of person to be validated, but the validation for me more are more affirmations. You know,
Yeah.
the likes, the follows, the comments, the hey
Mm.
Donnie, this picture is beautiful. All those things meant a lot to me just on a professional, personal level, not because I wanted to like have people toot my horn. It just made me feel good and knowing that the work that I was putting in, hopefully you didn't freeze. Oh, oh, there you are. The work that I was putting in was actually great work, and people were
Yeah.
appreciating it. Oh, I think it came out correctly. So
Yeah.
that being said, when I started getting those affirmations, that's when I felt like, okay, I would tell my wife, I said, honey, I think it's time to move in on. Are you still there?
I'm there. I just there. Hi.
Okay. And so those, I put in the work, I put in the education,
Yeah.
and I received affirmation. And
Yeah.
the affirmation meant Donnie is ready to go to the next level.
Yes.
So, but that span of time, and this is probably hard for you guys to hear, but this is true. The span of time from like 2009 to like 2014, which was 5 years, was the hardest heartache of business. It took
Huh.
me 5 years to really go through the learning process, the learning curves, the style shoots, the
Yeah.
pricing,
Yeah.
little small wins and gains and even losses. to feeling like, okay, 5 years later, I'm feeling like I'm getting there. You're
Yes.
never going to arrive. You're never going to arrive. But I felt like I was getting there. So when
Yeah.
I felt like I was getting there was when I was able to level my pricing.
Yeah.
I felt very sure of my marketing,
Hmm.
my imagery,
Yeah.
which was actually my images needed to speak to my branding and
Right.
to who I was as a professional. And one thing led to the other. Sorry about that. Um, and That's exactly took me 5 years to feel like I was ready to
Right.
really market myself in this industry. Okay.
Right.
Uh, so what created the mindset shift you had when you up your pricing? That's exactly so believing in myself, believing that seeing that my work was being affirmed by not just potential clients, but
Yeah.
also colleagues.
Yeah.
Um, those around that were reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, Donnie, we'd love to hire you to do a style shoot, or we'd like to hire you to go to Paris and do this. We'd like to hire you to come to LA."
Yeah.
All those things changed me in a way that was uh, kind of engaged me in believing, okay, Donnie, you have it, you
Yeah.
understand it, and that's the only way truly that I felt like I was growing. And
Yeah.
and it still is like, present day, like affirmations are I don't work as much now with style shoots or do that anymore. On
Mhm.
occasion I do, or workshops. To me, the affirmations come from my clients. Um, Word of mouth, referrals. Hey Donnie, I saw you shoot
Mhm.
my friend's wedding. Um, that was an amazing wedding. She said nothing but great things about your work. I'd love to hire you for our wedding, in this
Yeah.
location or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that to me is very important, because the other thing that I'll say this is, you hear the phrasing of quality over quantity,
Yeah.
and it's a real good phrase, and don't forget that because it's true. To
Right.
me, I want to do quality work.
Yeah.
I don't churn out 50 weddings a year. And that's
Right.
actually another thing that I should say. I want to target 15 amazing clients a year. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I want to work less for more. I don't know
Yeah.
if that means anything to anyone. But how do you get there? Well, you have to continuously do one
The
thing great.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. One
And
thing.
one thing great. And the one thing that I feel I'm doing great is, I believe that I'm really good at focusing in on my weddings and on my clients and my brides the day of their wedding, because of my experience that's behind me.
Right.
Uh, I know the other thing too. I know that my equipment that I have, the film that I'm shooting, the time of day that I'm shooting, the lighting that I'm using,
Uh-huh.
all of those experiences, combining them into one, results in one amazing product.
Yeah.
And that's a repetitive motion
Huh.
that if you can do that over and over and over and over, you're going to get the same results.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So
So that's really, go ahead.
no, I just wanted to highlight what you said. If I can condense too, and just like, hey, the beginning was it is personal contacts, it is repeating work, right? So getting just the style shoots in. Sometimes you just have to have content. Those affirmations, don't underestimate them. That is so powerful. You need to run on those affirmations because you don't get a lot at the beginning, and take them and use them as fuel for your next launch. And when you get that moment, when you're
Not only that, Carrie, I would say, yeah, I'm sorry to interject, but I would say one of the things that was a huge affirmation were like single, like two or three specific pictures that I took
right.
that were
Yeah.
like viral. Okay. And when
Yes,
a
me
picture went,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
when a picture went viral, you want to look at that picture, and the thing about doing the same thing over and over and over is get that. And this is what I tell my students: get that picture. Remember how you shot it, how you felt when you were shooting it, what time of day you shot it,
Yes.
what equipment you used to shoot it,
Yep.
and darn, at your next style shoot, duplicate that, and if not, make it even better. So sorry, go ahead.
Ex- Excellent, Donnie. Yes. When you understand understand what your viralability is, why they liked it so much, and you dissect it for your brand, and you can get it, like you said, into a formula, then boom, you've figured out all you need to figure out for your business, right? Like, we're not comparing here. This is for you, this is for your client, this is what they appreciate about you. So excellent. I just wanted to highlight that so that they could see there was a transition into that luxury market, into the traveling. It took all of these various steps, and then once you were ready to up level, that was a totally different thing. Now you're not doing styled shoots. You've now transitioned into the luxury market where you're taking less, you're doing more quality work, you're charging more, and you're really wanting that client referral. So I just wanted to point those out.
You're spot on. And to the kind of 1 to 2 year old photographer out there, a lot of the language that we're using may seem like, oh my goodness, can they go back and say that again? Because I kind of don't understand that. But you'll have to be a very good student of your own work and hone in on your day to day, on your year to year, month to month. And honestly, you have to be a really good student, like, of your business.
Yes.
What works for me may not work for you. What works for them may not work for us. And and the valleys and peaks. And this all sounds like the same old conversation that everybody has, but it's true. A
True.
lot of it is determined on your own person and how strong-willed you are internally. Who cares about the outwardly? You're not going to go out there. No one's paying your bills. You're paying your own bills.
No.
So
Yes.
it depends on how intrinsically motivated you are after you fall, and how well you learn from the things that have been affirmed, so that the next time you're behind the camera and in front of a beautiful landscape or client or venue, that you're fully ready for that stage.
Yes.
That's important. So, okay, sorry. Question 4: what branding work did you invest in that you feel paid itself on your own business? I would say style shoots, obviously. Education. Obviously, also spending time and knowing the nuances of social media. I think me being a little bit older, but at the beginning of what was Instagram, kind of helps me kind of still be in that middle part of that. I think the younger photographer is probably a lot more savvy than I am, and that's cool. Kudos to those that are younger than I am, because you guys are probably like miles ahead of me on Instagram and in your Instagram game. But investing time in the nuances in understanding what works and what doesn't work on Instagram is important.
Yep.
Now, that's the single most used tool for me for marketing. And so investing time and energy and knowledge is important for me on Instagram. Now, the same could be said about how negatively impactful Instagram can be. And that's a whole probably different conversation we can have. But to me, I've always, I hope that my wife sees me as a very strong-willed, minded business person that isn't easily disturbed or swayed to do what everybody else is doing, or feeling like I have to do what someone else is doing. It could be practice. It could be posting practices. It could be verbiage you use on your post. It could be the stories that you're using. Obviously, right now, reels are a real thing, and but one of the biggest things that I'll give everybody out there about investing time in Instagram starts with the P. Stay professional. Like big time.
Yeah.
Like big time.
That's so Oh, yeah.
People
Yes.
people are watching. People are at their
Yep.
fingertips, or have your information like never before. And if you're not ready, you'll be slandered. Unfortunately, we live in this
You will.
society. And
True.
it could mean it could mean the difference between follows and likes, and which lead to good marketing, which lead to good business, and the whole 9 yards. So I don't have to go into that. That's a whole different part of business. But definitely invest time
I
in
do say
Instagram.
yes. And I think Donnie is pointing out, and this is an excellent point. He's a luxury market photographer. Like, Donnie, can you just tell them where you were last year? I mean, I love that you just were like casually telling me, like, oh, yeah, just tell them where you traveled.
Yeah. So, well, throughout the last,
And I,
5, 6 years,
but you
so-
were, I'm going to come back to my point, but just last year you were like, oh, I went to Italy or whatever. You had a list. And
yeah.
I was like, oh, that's so
Well,
cool.
I'll say even last year, but I've been everywhere, and not, and sometimes being somewhere is cool. Sometimes it's not, because it's not what you
Right.
think it is sometimes. But I would say that those are affirmations of seeing your brand working across nations, um, because it does take a lot of work to be able to go over, to be trusted to shoot in the most beautiful parts of this
Yep.
world, because you have clients that are paying
Yes.
hundreds and thousands of dollars to get married at these locations. So, like last year, I had the honor and privilege to be in Jamaica for clients, in the Bahamas, New York,
Mhm.
obviously Los Angeles, Miami, um, and
Mhm.
I've shot in Bali, I've shot in India, I've shot in UK, and all, up and down Italy and everything. And it it doesn't to me, it doesn't mean anything unless I'm actually doing my job correctly. And that's exactly how I take my trips. They're all business minded trips.
Mhm.
They all have the same objective, and that is to work really
Mhm.
hard, to be present. I am
Mhm.
not. I don't go across the nations for just because. um,
Right.
I go, and I'll say this. This is the other part of why I go and how I do business. It's my livelihood, and it's my
Mhm.
family's livelihood. So the things that I do impact my wife and my kids, and
Yeah.
it's not. It's important for me to know that. It's important and my clients know that. My clients respect that. And as
Yeah.
much as I want to travel to Paris, um,
Right.
it, unless it's financially feasible and the investment's there, I won't go.
Mhm.
Um, and my
Right.
clients know that. So when they come into an
Mhm.
inquiry with me, it's important that I share, everything about my work and all those good things. And then they give me that respect back, and hopefully it works out. And when it
Hmm.
works out, they're going to get a great photographer, and they're going to get a great product.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what I love that, like, professionality. So that's what this is, right? So luxury market, they respect that, and that's what they look for, and that's what they want. They don't want necessarily to be your friend. They want a good product. They want a repeatable formula that they can trust from you. They want something that they know they will come to, and you will be a very trustworthy person with their money. So they can invest 20,000 in you, or 15 or 30, whatever they're going to ask to charge them. And they will know that it's going to be a repeated formula that you're going to handle with all of the events that you shoot. But if you are wanting to be an everyday photographer, that's fine too, right? But we need to know what we're doing. So those likes on Instagram and those likes on social media, those, let's look at Jenna Kutcher. She is a multimillionaire. And I know I use her in examples, but she's a great example of an everyday photographer. Once was a photographer, now she is a influencer. And so her value system is different. She is not trying to be professional necessarily. She is just trying to connect with thousands and thousands of people. And so her value system as a photographer, you could see, was different. It started off in yoga pants and dogs and like coffee. And she would talk about this. And then she started to share her body type and her and like what she looked like in her bikini. And this became her virality, right? And then she became a multimillionaire influencer. But if you're going to be in this luxury market and this is where you want to go, charging above, a certain price point, that will be something that is expensive. Only the top 1%, 2%, 5% maybe get here. You need to have like a mindset of steel. This is very professional. They need to know that you will not be sharing their inner secrets. You will not be tattling on whether they get drunk or not, or who shows up at their party, or whatever they're doing. And you're yourself going to handle yourself very professionally. And you're going to bring that product and that formula and that system that you figured out that makes you viral, and do that again and again. So be careful also what you share on Instagram. I think that's what we're saying here. What Donnie's saying is that there is a level of professionality they're looking for when they hire you. And make sure when you're posting, you're not just going after, even though the affirmations are there, you want to know that the affirmations are there in your work, not necessarily in your throw up of your person. You know what I mean? Like some of the things we share online, is that really benefiting our ideal client, or is that just personal, like blah? So I think that's what Donnie is saying.
Yeah, it's your reputation, and it's who you're going to be known as in the industry and for future clients. And like I said, people are watching.
Yes.
And I love when I get hired by my clients because they know exactly what they're investing in, and the trust they have in me, the homework that they've done. Sometimes I have a client that says, Donnie, I looked up and down, sideways and the other side, and I have done research. And after like 35 photographers, we landed on you. And
Wow.
they're like, there is something about your work, about your identity, about who you are, that we want shooting our wedding. Okay. What is that? Is your reputation, is what they're seeing. And so that's important to me. And that means a lot to me. When I get a client that goes that far into conversation with me, I just know I'm in good hands. They know that I trust them and they trust me. And actually, one of the biggest affirmations when you get on site and you do your weddings is, this is my photographer. He's the lead. He's been hired by me, and I want him to do all the work. This is why he's here. And it's it gives me goosebumps even now saying that, because I've worked so hard. You work so hard to attain those words, and that's important.
Yeah.
Okay. So when that happens, and you'll know when it happens, it's a feel good moment. Don't change from that moment to your next client. Because the exact same person that you were to them and how they saw you and how they view you is a good business model, because that if you duplicate that and you stick to that, you'll be able to do that for your next client and your next client. That's important. So, okay. How do you typically get leads? And what is your process for booking clients? So there is just different ways. Sorry, I think my son's coming. I want him to know I'm on a video call. So when I first started, I think a lot of clients were going through my website, and I was getting a lot of inquiries that way. And it's still true. It's probably my number one lead. But what I hear off and on is, Donnie, how do you get leads on Instagram? Like, I've never had that happen.
Yeah.
I would say like the other big portion is through Instagram. And so, and I don't mean like a full inquiry. It could just be a simple bride that is, or a bride to be that saw my work in New York and is probably, she lives in Miami. So these are hypotheticals, or, but she can simply reach out through a DM and say, hey, Donnie, can you email me your information? To me, that's an inquiry, obviously. And that's another big part of this whole business conversation I can have with you guys. Please, please, please do not put no DMs on your Instagram. For me, that would be lost money. And I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm speaking to those that do put no DMs on Instagram. Why not? That's the main focus of my Instagram feed, is for me to communicate with potential clients. So do not
No,
put a
so
dead end sign on your business profile.
yeah,
That's a good way to lose clients.
yeah.
So that's a whole different part of conversation.
No,
But I would say
yeah.
it's like 50-50. Like 50% of my clients come through Instagram, 50 come through my website. Um,
Mhm.
there's been times I'll get a text, random text. Hey Donnie, I found your phone number on Instagram. Can you
Right,
can you give me your information? Or
right, right.
or a phone call, a random phone call, like, hey, ring, 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 and it's like, I don't know, middle America, and hi, how can I help you? Oh yeah, hey Donnie, I just sorry if I'm kind of catching you off guard, but this is a so and so, and I'd like to hear a little bit about your who you are as a photographer because I'm getting married. Um,
Yeah.
so there's no true one way for me to like, and maybe if it's more, Carrie, you're asking about how do you which channel of marketing do you prefer to be get your inquiries from?
Mhm.
I'm open ended. Like I don't want
Mhm.
yeah. Like I don't want clients or my clients, potential clients, to feel like they can't get a hold of me through text, through
Right,
email,
right.
through a phone call, through a DM. Um, and so
Yeah,
to just to answer that question, I get DMs all the time. Um,
yeah,
and do I try to answer? I try to answer as fast as I can, and that's another big part of
yeah.
of Instagram too. The new bride that's out
Mhm.
there, what does she do all the time? She's on Instagram,
Yeah,
and if she's sending you a DM, even if it's a private DM, and you're not checking your private DMs, and maybe it's a spam DM, that's fine, get rid of it. But if it's a potential lead, I'm answering hopefully within the hour.
that's
So
wow.
yeah.
Kudos to you. That's amazing.
um, and sometimes there's different business practices. Some people are like completely against that, and they're like, Donnie, why don't you
Right.
filter everything through email? It's a lot more professional. It's another way to just keep things off your plate. You can kind of keep it on the side. Um,
Yeah.
no, not for me. I can't do that.
But
And so booking.
gratification right now. Like,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just instant gratification. Go within that train of mindset.
Yeah, you got to think like you're like your
Yeah.
client.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
probably the other question to that was, what is your process for booking clients? So, whether it comes through Instagram or my email or my website, being responsive is very important. So timing is
Yeah.
everything. And I'll give
Yeah.
you guys a quick clue as to how I kind of work through a lot of my inquiries, or quick information. So, um, if I get an inquiry through through my website, I get typically like everything filled out. So I get my client's first and last name, I get their email, and I get a little bit of information about their wedding, what it's going to look like, what they're wanting, what are their dreams and wishes. I get information about their wedding date, and even sometimes
Yeah.
their venue. So I get a lot of information right off the bat that's important to me. Obviously, it's important to
Right.
them, so they gave it to me too because they're really wanting to know, am I available? And so,
Right.
couple of things. If they send me a phone number, we live in a tech savvy world. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am very quick to get on my phone before an email, grab that phone number, grab my client's potential for or my potential client's first name, and dear Carrie, hey, this is Donny Zavala. Just want to let you know I did receive your inquiry. Congratulations. I'm excited to hear from you and know more about your wedding to
Right.
be. In the meantime, if you have any questions, go ahead and text me. Otherwise, I'll be in contact soon on email.
I
Boom.
love it.
Send
Simple.
it. Simple, professional, to the point. Send it. I would say like 8 out of 10 times I get a reply. Okay. And so
Amazing.
that's very important
But
to me, that they know that I'm
like, yeah.
there and ready to help them. Um, because timing, as we know, is everything. Um,
Yeah.
when you wait and you're like, nope, I just got an inquiry. I'm not in my office. I got to run to my office to answer this email. Baloney. Guess who's going to be on top of that? I am. I'm already beating you to it.
Yeah.
I'm already texting that client. Okay. So
Yeah.
don't wait too long. Communicate with them. If you said you're going to email them right back. Okay?
Right. Right.
Stay on top of it. So the process from that, it could be an, so, hey, Donnie, thank you for the tax. That's awesome. You were the first one to reply. I can't believe how fast you replied. And sometimes it could lead into a quick phone call. Like, hey, Donnie, I have time tomorrow. If you want to talk by phone, I'm like, sure, absolutely. Let's make time. So that's very important that I get that phone call. The other thing, obviously, is I will follow up through email. I'll send them my investment guide. I'll send them a lot of information about my work. And then, one thing leads to another, and hopefully I get the booking. But communication, prompt communication is key.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that answers, like, if you wanted every detail for booking my clients, but
no,
a lot of little nuances to booking. Yeah.
Right. No, so. I think just key highlight is that you need to get on it right away. If it's not you, if maybe it's an assistant or personal assistant, but within the hour, within 24, for sure, 24, that's the longest. You need to respond back, even if it's just something that says, hey, I'm here. Here's my cell phone. I'll be sending you a Zoom call link so we can talk, or I'll be sending you a package. I don't know what your next step's going to be, but within immediate time frame, they need to hear from you. So excellent. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that is one of the things. You have a very high booking rate. You book most of your clients because you take such good care of them, even in the just the entry point. Like when I texted you on Instagram the first time, or you texted me, I can't remember, but we were on a phone call within 2 hours. And then from there you were like, here, this is what I want. And then you like email me all this detail. So you're just very, very good at communication.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah. Make that a point for sure.
Very.
So number 6, which offerings or industry event that's out there, or anything that I've attended or invest in, do I feel has like led me to good business? And some of your like potential examples are like or marketing through publications.
Yeah. Like, what do you feel like? Style shoots have been huge for you, but then the personal touches, is that just through your weddings? Do you try to go to engaged? I mean, what do you feel like we should be investing in?
I'm probably a little bit more like non-traditional. I don't peek my head into a lot of things, and not because I don't need to, mainly because I feel like I just use my dollars differently. And what has worked in the past is still working, so why change it?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I honestly, like, yeah, great. Like at the beginning, and sorry, I don't mean any disrespect to any publishers. I love publishers. Wedding Sparrow, Style Me Pretty, Martha Stewart. They all have they're an amazing part of our industry. And if they weren't there, we would have a hard time being who we are. And so thank you to all of them.
Yes.
I would say at the forefront of your front loading for your business marketing, absolutely. Styled shoots are a must. Publications are a second must. Staying in close contact with a close knit of friends in the industry is important. You start, handshaking with the right people. All of those things create a good support system that then you are word of mouth through those colleagues, and that's important. And I still try my best. For example, now my new group of folks that I kind of need to be a part of and be connected to is my clients and their vendors. That is important to me. When I get a vendor that says, hey, Donnie, Can I see the gallery from the wedding? Is it possible that I can share pictures from the wedding? Absolutely. Always try to be a yes person in that regard. Always try to support each other when it comes to working together on that wedding. Um, those pieces are important to me even now. I've had um, tons and tons of even connection and sorry, so the present day way of connecting through that now is Instagram, right? It's great to
Mhm.
send a gallery to your vendor group from a wedding, but it's more powerful and I think more practical um, to tag your vendors, to connect through them
Mhm.
on Instagram, to give them shout outs through your stories, through your reels, all those things.
Mhm.
um, at the beginning, in the middle part of your business, and now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lazy in that regard sometimes. Like I won't like I can go probably 2 months sometimes without really doing a lot of Instagram, and I kick myself for it because a lot of times, honestly, that's a hotbed for marketing. It's an extremely hotbed for potential inquiries, and
Yeah.
um, I always think of like, okay, do I want more inquiries? Should I do? And so honestly, when I go to Instagram and I start marketing and I post on there and I work with my vendors on there, literally like DMs start popping up, inquiries come through my
Mhm.
website, and it's like, what is that called? Starts with an A, affirmations.
Yeah.
So again, those things that have worked in the past will work
They will.
again as long as you're intentional about connecting
Yes.
again. So that's how present day Donnie works with marketing. It's
Yeah.
free marketing, right?
It's free.
It's just work on your phone
Yeah.
and stay connected.
I love it. It's so, so good. Like break the will.
So 7, if a fellow waiting for purchase, you prefer they approach you. So the question
And
is,
if I don't,
go ahead.
if these are help, I don't know what other questions are on that list too, because I'm on my phone, not on my computer. But you can, if they're not helpful and you don't feel like this is for the audience too, I don't mean to take too much of your time too, friend. You're so valuable.
Oh no, you're awesome. Yeah, quickly, I could answer 7. So basically asking about if someone's interested in working with me, how do they approach me? What are some turnoffs? Um, and obviously, I do get those requests.
So yeah, we have florists
They
in here. We have hair and makeup artists. We have a lot of different people. They're wanting to up level. This is a luxury focus here. We're wanting to go into the luxury market. And so what can they do to be on your team? Let's say you go to, I don't know, they want to go to Mexico with you and shoot for a client with you. I mean, how will they stand out? Who are the vendors that have stood out to you and what did they do differently?
sorry, okay, let me get that. So you know, building your business empire, um, and I don't mean like grand empire, but just for the sake of a different word, is is important, hopefully to you and to me. It is like I'm very protective of the things that I've done. I'm very protective of my business practices, not because I don't feel like I want to share, but because I don't have time um,
Right.
for my work for myself, right? And so the effort, the money, the sweat, the tears, the traveling, the conversations, the handshakes that I've made are extremely important to me. Now, one of the things that is a huge turnoff is when any one vendor or any one photographer comes to me and says, "Hey, Donnie, I would like to work with you." And like the first thing, the only reason that comes off is they just want to be a part of that circle of friends, of vendor friends. And that is like a big no-no. Like just don't, you know, really, really focus in on asking the right questions. I would say, um, gosh, if you want to work with like me, um, be prepared. Send me an email. Um, what is your objective? What are you trying to accomplish by connecting with me? Um, what how can I help you? How can you help me? Um,
Mhm.
and no, like DM, that's the DM you don't want to get. Like a photographer, like, to be honest, like I'll get a photographer that sends me a DM, says, "Hey Donnie, I love your work. Gosh, I have like 5 minutes. Can you let me know what equipment you shoot with? Like
Oh my God.
camera settings you're on. Like, I know you shoot film, but can you tell me a little bit about your film and how you develop it and which film lab you use? And how did you go to Italy and shoot this wedding?" Um, you know, so
No.
no, those are the biggest turnoffs. Send me an email. I would say for sure, send me an email, introduce yourself, who you are. Um, Let me know a little bit about yourself and let me know why you're emailing me. Um,
Yeah.
I will say 100% of the time, I'm going to email you back. And whether it's me saying, absolutely, let's connect, that's one thing.
Right.
Or if it's me saying, you know what, this time I can't do that, um,
Right.
that could be the possibility. And so, not because I say no to you means no to you, meaning, okay, it's end all for you. No, no, no. Sometimes not working with somebody is a good thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
no's can turn into multiple yeses. And
Yes.
sometimes a yes can turn into multiple no's. So
Hmm. Hmm.
pick and choose, and just know that as for me, um, the folks that I've connected with, the networking of friends that I have, it's taken me about 12 years um,
Uh-huh.
to build that, and trying to overnight that is not possible.
No.
Um, it's going to take time, and
Yeah.
I've had students that want to pay me thousands and thousands of dollars to overnight that, and I still have to decline it because it's
Yeah.
impossible. You know, I
Yeah.
want somebody that is ready and eager to learn, you know, from the beginning. Um,
Hmm.
I can read right into somebody that's like, "Hey, Donnie, tell me everything now." um, so yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah. Doesn't work. No, no, it doesn't.
Uh,
It's so good. Those are excellent. Yeah.
so yeah, I think eight's very similar to that. Um,
Yeah.
so number 9, in the luxury wedding process, you are the first to be reached by the bride. Are you typically booked first? What is your experience in the booking process? Yeah, so a cool thing about the luxury market, um, I do get a lot of direct contact with the bride. So bride send me an email directly. Um, Sometimes they even DM me on Instagram, and they're like, "Hey,
Right.
Donnie, I'm getting married in Spain at this beautiful venue," and they send me like the venue location, and they're like, um, "I'd like to know more about your work. Um, I have a planner, but," and then this is kind of a cool thing. Sometimes, like, "Yeah, but the planner told me to hire this photographer, but no, I want to hire you separately."
Wow.
And 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 so it's um a lot of luxury brides know what they want. They're
Yeah.
spending
Yeah.
thousands of dollars on their wedding. Um, and a lot of times, well, all the time, I respect that. I respect their inquiry with me. And so I'll take the time to FaceTime with them, to Zoom call with them, to be available by text. And this would be the same of any other inquiry, but luxury destination items are that much more complicated than like your local stateside wedding. Are you
Right.
there?
Right.
Um,
I'm here.
and
Yeah.
so most of the time, a luxury bride takes probably a little bit more time to connect the dots with
Right.
on to get to the final booking, because they're a little
Right.
bit more complicated. A lot of the luxury
Right.
bride and luxury wedding stuff that I'm doing internationally has a lot of logistics to it.
Yes.
And we're talking pre-wedding shoot, post-wedding shoot. We're talking engagement shoot, whether it's on the East Coast, whether it's in like LA. Um,
Wow.
we're even talking multiple days. Like I've done a 5-day wedding.
Oh my
You
God.
know,
That,
yeah, and that was like 2 years ago in South Carolina, and
wow.
um, and so you have to baby those. Um,
Yeah.
and you have to proceed carefully. You have to
Hmm.
be available to answer every one of their questions. Um, the booking process is not like it's very customizable. It can't just be one size fits all.
Yes.
Because your luxury clients are looking to see, um, obviously they want a cost per day and what exactly you're going to cover. So it's not just you're going over to Amalfi Coast to shoot a wedding a single day. No, no, you're entrenched in their family. You are
Yeah.
part of the wedding. You are part of
Right.
the festivities. You're part of their planning. And so,
Yes.
um, you know, over time, you learn to be ready to communicate, to be available to understanding every part of their wedding. Um, you're scouting from afar. Um,
Yes.
you're helping them make connection with vendors, local vendors from a different part of the region. Um,
Yeah.
uh, you're flexible on when you get to the site. So, for example, if
Right.
it's a Thursday start to a pre-wedding, I'm there like Tuesday. You know, um,
Wow.
and their weddings on Saturday, and they have a post brunch, a wedding brunch on Sunday. I'm probably not flying out till like Monday. So I'm making a seven
Yeah.
day commitment a lot of times, and so
Yeah.
that's important for you to know well ahead of time. Um, and your client, obviously, they'll pay you and for that investment for your time. So
Right.
hopefully I answered that correctly.
Oh, you totally did. And I think I gotta be careful of my phone dying here. I gotta go plug it in.
Okay.
But yeah. I don't remember what the last question there, but I think it's along the lines, right, of the same. Was it 10? I have 10 are there? I can't remember.
Yeah. What's the booking process like? I think in the luxury market or something
I already went through, but
similar to that.
I think we got it. Really, honestly, you have helped us so much here, Donnie. It's been so amazing to just get this time with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys too. Carrie, thank you. Good luck with your group there, and good luck to all of you out there. Um, and yeah, if there's anything else that you need help with, let me know.
Gosh. I know you do your workshops. You've taught people as well in this process and the stuff you shoot. I mean, I remember seeing like way back when something on the beach in Oregon, like, oh my gosh, who's this guy? And then just what you've done with your workshops and like the cotton candy clouds that you had on the beach with those baby's breath. Oh my gosh, that was so beautiful with your workshops. So Don, you're always just producing such high quality work and you're just ahead of the game. But I love that when you get to the conversation with you, it's really the things we all know about, like personal responsibility, really being professional, using and helping people that you shake the hands with. Like those personal face-to-face contacts, never underestimate them, but also take the 50% of your Instagram and work it well. So you have just been a really good, helpful conversation for us here. And I really thank you for being honest. It's really hard to find somebody that is honest and upfront, and I appreciate that in you. So thank you, Donnie. Yeah. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to stop the recording, and thank you so much again. I'm going to turn it off here, but